Hello and welcome to this video on 8 unique tips to instantly take your beats to the next level. So in this video, I've tried to include production techniques that hopefully you may not have come across before and that can also apply to any genre of music. So without further ado, the first tip is the spectral blur effect. Now I'm going to demonstrate this effect in FL Studio, but you can find this effect in any DAW. For example, in Ableton, the spectral blur plugin can be found in this free creative extensions pack. So let's say we have a sound like this. Using this blur effect, we can essentially create a dense, textured cloud of sound from the original audio. For example, if we add the blur tool in Edison over here, it now sounds like this. So yeah, using this method, you can create some really cool, completely unique sounds. And here's a specific way you can use this technique to add more body and texture to a sound. So if we have a piano sound like this, we can duplicate the sound, blur the copy only, then pitch the blurred sound down an octave so it sits below the original in the frequency range. And now it sounds like this. One very simple way to add a unique touch to your beat is to add an offbeat drop. So the vast majority of beats will kick in at the start of the 4 bars like this. And of course, there's nothing wrong with this, but sometimes the drop sounds way more interesting if you bring in the kick and bass somewhere other than the beginning of the bar. For example, we can have this drop come in here instead, like this. So yeah, like I said, it doesn't apply to every beat, but if you feel like switching things up, I definitely recommend trying out this method. Another way to create completely unique sounds is to use a reverb hold effect. This creates a similar effect to the spectral blur effect that I mentioned earlier, but it can be used in completely different ways. To do this, I'll be using the free plugin Ambience. So let's just start with a basic sample. Using this hold function, we can sample extended sections of this sound in interesting ways. So this part sounds interesting, so let's record that. And then we can find another interesting part of the sound and record that too, and then we can splice these recordings together. And just like that, you've got a completely new instrumental element that changes the vibe of the entire beat. So tip number 4 is about bringing in the most unique, important elements of the beat early on. If you're trying to sell your beats online or trying to find vocalists to sing or rap over your beats, it's important to bring in the crucial elements of the beat within the first section of the track. This way you'll capture the attention of the listener much quicker. For example, if your beat has an amazing vocal sample, don't bring in the sample late into the beat, as you want to capture the listener's attention within the first 10-20 seconds. Another great tip that can completely transform a beat is to add pitch modulations to things like synths, pads, or bass. This can add a really unique feel to the track and can also make the track sound more dynamic and interesting. For example, here is a basic pad sample with some hip-hop drums. Now if we add some pitch modulations like this, as you can see, it makes the pad stand out a little bit more. And like I said, adding modulations to the bass line works really well too. Tip number 6 is to add variations in pan, pitch, and volume to your hi-hats. One of the easiest ways to add some life and realism to your drums is to add variation to hi-hats and cymbals. For example, this hip-hop drum loop sounds quite static and robotic at the moment. However, if we add variations to the hi-hats so that the pan, pitch, and volume slightly changes each time the hi-hat is played, it adds a subtle human touch to the drums that can make a huge difference. You can also do this with other drum and percussion sounds, but it's definitely the most effective with hi-hats. Tip number 7 is using unique effects, Foley, and ambient sounds to add texture to the beat. Now, obviously, the type of effects you use completely depends on the genre you produce. For example, if you're a lo-fi hip-hop producer, using some of these background sounds can add a lot of ambience to a beat and make it much more immersive for the listener. And if you're a trap producer, here are some examples of effects and Foley you can use to make your beats more interesting. So here's a beat with and without some basic effects and Foley. Okay, so the last tip is to try to use free vocal samples in your beats. A good vocal sample can sometimes turn an otherwise average beat into an incredible one. If you are wondering where to find free vocal samples where you don't have to worry about copyright or anything like that, I did make a video running through the 50 best free sample packs, so I'll leave a link to that one in the description if you do want to go and check it out. And there we have it. So that was 8 tips to instantly level up your beats in 2022. Hopefully you got some value out of this video, and leave a comment letting me know which tip you want to start using in your beats. Also, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does mean a lot. And as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.